Hello everyone, and today is the third day of my 10-day video challenge. So first of all, thank you so much for suggesting topics. Is always very helpful, and also suggesting tips and improvements. They are always welcome. So one of the topics that was requested probably 2 or 3 times was to talk about my book, or I should say my books, and uh, and I would like to take you into this journey because it's not just one thing that um, is the culmination of a different kind of touching points or work that I did before I published the book with my own story. So that's what I would like to talk about today. Um, and The other thing that I wanted to mention is that we have 6 group chats across Australia. And if you haven't seen these questions in your chat, is because probably it's from a different chat to the one in your city. So I think most people have been asking about this book. Oh, sorry. This one is called Own It. That's the Spanish version. And this is a book that I published last year, and it is about my stories as a migrant woman, and also includes stories of other migrant women that I've met along the way. But I just didn't sat one day and wrote that book. It actually comes after many different publishing experiences that I have had. Well, when I say many, I mean previous publishing experiences. And it all starts with this book that is called Undefeated. It is a book that we published in 2023, and this is the is a book that it was written by 90 women, and it has 118 stories. I am not an author in this book. In fact, I only wrote the intro, but I had a lot of learning from this experience, and I was the main editor with Tierney Long, who actually proposed the idea of this project. And one of the main learnings about this is how to write stories that has a lot of packed a lot of emotions and meaning in a very short way. Because one of the requisites for this book is, or was, that your story shouldn't be more than 500 words. So people really have to refine their writing. And as an editor, I read each story at least 3 times. And it was really amazing to see how every story improved every time that we edited. And the authors, the other thing is that the authors identified with that story even more once it was edited. So Undefeated was a really intense project, but it was a really great school as well. It taught me about narratives, it taught me about editing, it taught me about how to project manage a book. So actually that was 2022, and the year after I decided to have another go at publishing, and this time I created a resource that was very commonly used in our community, and it is called Nailing the Job Interview. And this book is all about all the techniques, all the tips, all the secrets that were shared with us in our mentoring program. So for the mentoring program, we used to have speakers, panel members for the mock interviews, and they always used to provide feedback to the mentees. And we gained so much insights and knowledge and understanding. But not every group had the same mentor, and obviously the mentees were always different. And this book was a way of collecting all of that knowledge and putting it in one place. The beauty of this book as well is that it's written through the lens of a migrant woman for migrant women. So it goes beyond the typical advice about interviews, but it focuses a lot on the migrant woman experience. So I released that book in 2023. It was, probably 80 pages long. And I reviewed that book again this year, and I just published a second edition. And I included other learnings that I have had since. And so this book wasn't about story, but it is about how to use storytelling in job interviews. And it was about putting a system into the knowledge that we had, and it's more like a reference book. After this book was when I started to think about sharing my own stories. And one of the things that I started to notice was that there were some stories that used to come time and time again every time that I talk to migrant women. So the story about shame from not being able to perform at the same level that you were used to, or the stories about guilt of leaving your family behind and probably not being present for them, or not being able to contribute to them because you were struggling to, or the experiences of fear because our accents make us feel a bit less than. So I noticed that there was a pattern in the stories that I was telling to people, and I thought that was very interesting. So I thought, okay, maybe what I can do is to start writing these stories. And that's when Own It came about. People usually ask, how long did it take you to write this book? And at the beginning, when I was thinking about that question, I thought, yeah, it took me about 8 months to write the book. And people used to say, oh wow, that was really fast. But then I was thinking about it and I thought, no, that's not realistic. I think, and for people who've have asked, how is the process of writing? If I am true to myself, I started to write probably 3 years before I decided to put all of these things into a book. And that was the thing. One of my mentors, who is a book author herself, used to tell me, Fabiola, you need to journal. And the best time for journaling is when you wake up. So I started to do that. And there were some questions that used to come into my mind. Oh, if I was living a particular experience that was really difficult for me to overcome, or a difficult decision that I have to make, or if I was curious about certain patterns that keep recurring in my life, I started journaling those things. So I had 3 years of journaling. I didn't journal every day, but there was quite a few stories and insights in there. And then I started to layer that with the stories that I noticed that were repeating in the sharing with the community. And I started documenting those stories as well. So by the time I decided to write a book, when I realized, oh, I have all of this information and I can write a book with it, then it took me about 8 months to put all of this together, to create a structure and to write the book. Throughout the book, one of the things, or the most recurrent theme, was that theme of identity and loss of identity and shame. So that's the reason why I call it Own It. Because I realized that it's not until we embrace every part of who we are that we are finally at peace with ourselves, and then we can show up authentically into the world and do our best work. So that is my story, or my journey in the publishing world. And if you want to know more about these books, these two are available in Amazon. And if you have any particular questions about any of those books, please let me know, and I will be very happy to answer those questions. Thank you so much to Catalina Gonzalez, to Sana, and Anna Maria as well, who asked about these questions. So if you have any other questions, happy to answer, and it will give me some material for tomorrow's video. Enjoy the rest of the long weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.